Uh, I swear YouTube changes things every single time I go live. The last time I went live, it let me take a thumbnail horizontally. This time, it made me do it vertically, but it was a horizontal picture. So, what the thumbnail is right now may not be what it is when you watch it, so you might not know what I'm talking about. There's a very high chance I'm going to change it. But it was a weird picture of my face that was taken vertically and then cropped to only show part of it. So it's, I kind of made a weird face. Um, and also, once I actually went live, it showed the full image of what I looked like. Here it's showing like zoomed into my phone, so it's just, it's never the same. Every time I go live, there's some weird change and it goes back and forth and it's annoying as hell because I never know what to prepare for, I never know what to expect. But I do need to start taking thumbnails beforehand apparently. I was doing that for a while, but then last time I went live, I thought maybe I wouldn't have to do that again, but in the last few days, that's changed. So it is what it is. I appear to be centered, so at least there's that. Okay, let's get into it. New content idea. I was thinking of making a type of content where I'm putting a little more effort into it, and I'm gonna test the waters, okay? I'm gonna test out what does what. So we're gonna start with titles. If that doesn't go anywhere, we're going to start with thumbnails, or we're going to start doing thumbnails. And if that doesn't go anywhere, if that's still not enough, then we're going to have to make better videos, which will include editing and better, quality. We're going to start putting more effort into it if it's necessary, but we're going to see one step at a time. Maybe I can get away without making a really intriguing thumbnail, or maybe that won't do very well. Who knows? Only time will tell. But I will only put in the effort that is actually necessary for it to become successful. And that's assuming it has the potential to become successful anyway, which, maybe it won't. Maybe it wouldn't matter. Maybe I'll put in the extra effort and no one will give a shit either way. But I'm pretty confident with this idea, and I'll tell you why. This is the same thing. What my most viewed video, that's actually me and not just, music, my most viewed video is this same type of content. I know some of you already know what I'm talking about. I have a video called Defending Colleen, and it is about the YouTuber Colleen Ballinger, also known as Miranda Sings. This came out right around the time that she was being canceled, and she made her ukulele video called Hi, and that went viral, and everyone was talking about it. And it made me realize something that has only become more true as time has passed. This has always been an issue, but it's over the years it's gotten worse and worse, and it's starting to just look like a virus infecting everybody. There is this need people seem to have for a target, somewhere to unleash their hatred. And I've been seeing this on YouTube so much more that I feel like I almost want to fight fire with fire a little bit. So there are a lot of content creators, not just on YouTube, but just in general, news outlets and people, YouTubers who consider themselves independent journalists, and they feel very proud of themselves as they're making content covering pop culture news and covering things that certain people did or whatever. And they feel very proud of themselves making this type of content. Some of them don't. Some of them truly don't even care, and they acknowledge that they're only doing it for the views and the money. But some people really think that they're doing something good, which is absolutely, it's mind-boggling to me, because the type of content that they're making is entirely dependent on ripping someone else apart. And I call it vulture culture instead of cancel culture, because what it really amounts to is just these people, these journalists, you know, whether they be independent or public or big or whatever, all they do is, like a vulture, pick at the carcass of somebody's reputation or somebody's career. And it's often beating a dead horse. It's often redundant, you know, because they're all saying the same thing. And it's always biased. There's always a narrative that's being pushed. And it's an easy target, too. You know, it's an easy narrative to get behind. It's not like it really takes a lot of imagination. Um, so it's really disappointing when you go after an easy target because you're basically just saying obvious stuff that, you know, you probably don't need to share more than just the information, but you go so hard. You go more than what you need to. Instead of just sharing the information and saying, this is what happened, this is what's going on, you're giving all your opinions and all this extra stuff that really just amounts to, you know, making yourself seem morally superior. So I want to, you know, and I might not do this. You know, it depends on how much of how much room there is for me to talk about this, because when I talk about it now, it almost makes me feel like how much more is there to really say. But then I remember the thrill that I got when I made that defending Colleen video and I got absolutely ridiculed. I mean, I was getting, my comment section was flooded with hatred, and it got to a point where I had to turn the comments off because I had started replying and I didn't want to set a precedent of me engaging with these people. It turned into a bad idea to engage with these comments and get into fights with them. And in the comment section, I had set a precedent of engaging, and I didn't want people thinking that I was going to be responding to them. So I made a separate video called Defending Colleen Part 2. And I said in the video, this is basically going to be a comment graveyard. I'm not going to be responding to anything. I will be reading the comments, and I might give your comment a heart, but I'm not going to reply. No replies from me whatsoever in this comment section. So say whatever you want. And I turned off the comments in the original video, and in the description I posted a link to the video where you could leave comments. And I thought that was a really funny way to handle it because it worked. I got like 300 plus comments on that part 2 video of people thinking I was going to respond, which just shows they didn't even watch it, and it was very short. It was like 5 minutes, and they kept going and saying all this hateful shit, thinking that I was going to read it, thinking that I was going to care, and I didn't. I actually found it kind of amusing, which is what the point that I reached, is that I needed to learn to not take it to heart, not take it seriously. You can't let the opinions of assholes get in your head, and you have to realize how many assholes there are. And you also have to realize they don't see themselves as assholes. The whole problem is that they think that they're morally superior. They think that they're a good person and that you're a bad person. That's their narrative, that's the way they see things, and that's what they want to convince you of too. So this is something that I'm very familiar with. I know what it's like to have people see you in a negative light, to have people think bad things about you, and to try to convince you to think those things about yourself. I've been there multiple times throughout my entire life. You know, I've had teachers, parental figures, friends, you know, people I have been in relationships with, strangers online. I've had so many different types of people do this to me. And all it has taught me is how to learn to trust myself and how to learn what it's like to actually be around someone who cares about you as a person. And it's helped me to be more empathetic toward other people who may be going through the same thing and make sure that I'm treating them the way I want to be treated. So, you know, and I know that I'm not a bad person because of the fact that I was able to reflect, that I didn't just dismiss it and laugh it off, that I actually think about the things people say and I make sure that I can dismiss it, you know, as, no, that's not true. And, you know, I think part of them, I think they know that I'm going to do that, and they just want to be that little negative voice in my head that always makes me doubt myself, that always makes me question myself. There's really no other goal, you know, because what else could they be hoping to accomplish? You know, but you just have to learn how to utilize it in a healthy way You know, don't let it be a negative voice that makes you doubt yourself. Let it be something that keeps you firm in knowing that you're a good person, because you're always able to find a logical argument against that voice. And you become better at arguing in that sense. You become more sure of yourself, more confident, because now you have logic backing it up instead of just, you know, a belief in yourself. Um, and I want to use that for, you know, defending people. I don't, you know, I think that it would be kind of ironic and funny if a lot of these vulture culture journalists who make content ripping other people apart daily, weekly, whatever they do. Um, hello, Bryce. Um, I think it would be funny if I started a channel, or this channel started a content series on this channel where I make videos doing the same thing to them. Everyone thinks they a good person inside. Yeah, well, I mean, some people know they're not. Some people don't think that about themselves. Sadly, a lot of good people don't think that they're good people. And a lot of bad people think that they're good people. But there are some bad people who are aware that they're not good, and they don't care. And they justify what they do by saying it doesn't matter if you're good or bad or something. But what everyone does feel is justified. That's the problem. Everyone feels like their actions are in some way justifiable, because if they thought that it wasn't justified, they wouldn't do it. So sometimes they just ignore it. Sometimes they know it isn't justified, but they don't want to think about it, so they just tune it out and do it anyway, and then just keep ignoring the fact that it's not justified. It's like they just tune it out. They don't even want to look at the reasons it's not. They just want to pretend it away, and that's called avoidance. People do that a lot too. But anyway, what I was saying is that I think these people who make this type of content, if I made content about them, if I used their names the same way that, you know, in their faces, and I started making content doing the same thing to them that they do to other people, I think it would be kind of funny. And I think I would get hate for it. I do. I think that, you know, especially if I framed it as defending someone that they're attacking, people would come at me. People would say, you're defending someone you shouldn't be defending. People would say, you know, you're attacking someone for doing the same thing you're doing. I can already see it. You know, I can. What is the status of you and Zach? Oh, God damn it. Dave, can you get out of here? For the love of God. I should have known it was you. No one else watches my shit. And no one else would ask that question, by the way, which is how I know it's you. Your billion different fake accounts, you creepy little shit. So anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I already know the types of hate that I would be getting, and I'm prepared for it. You know, I'm prepared for people to come at me and say negative things, try to make me feel bad about myself. I've learned how to find it amusing instead of to take it to heart and get upset by it. Yep. I blocked you. Okay. Dave deleted his comment about me and Zach, so I'm assuming that was him admitting to guilt. Deleting comments is something he does, but before he had a chance to delete all of his comments, I used the fact that 2 of them were still there to block the account. So now he'll have to come back from another account, and he will, because he has an infinite number of accounts. I've blocked every single one of them, and he somehow always has more, and he always makes an appearance, and it's never not annoying. But, you know, it is what it is. So, just a random person. I don't know who he is. All I know is that he says weird, creepy, and or hateful shit in my comments, and he never goes away, and I don't know his real name or where he lives or what he looks like. All I know is that he has an infinite number of accounts and he has an agenda. He also spends a lot of time watching YouTubers like myself, small channels, doing live streams, and he thinks that he can have some kind of personal relationship with them, and yet he gives no personal information about himself. He tries to have a friendship with them. He tries to be intimate with them, and I've seen him do it on these other people's comment sections. It's creepy as hell, and yet he's just a catfish. It's very, very creepy. He's like a pest. Like he's like stepping on gum, and you just can't get rid of him. I wish I never got his attention. I don't know how he found me. I mean, to be fair, I don't know how he finds any of the people whose channels he comments on, but he particularly doesn't like me because I chose to call him out and stop being friendly with him, and I thought that I had ended it by telling him to leave me alone and never comment again, but he just stopped commenting as Dave and started revealing how many fake names he has. Very creepy. So that's the story with that. Not very long, but I just can't get rid of him. And maybe one day my channel will get bigger and I will be able to do live streams and have a shitload of comments, and Dave will be drowned out by positive comments. That would be nice. That's the goal. Then it won't matter if he's still there because he'll just be one of many random assholes, because I assume I'm going to get a lot of hate, and I'm okay with it. What I learned from the Defending Colleen video is that I'm okay with hatred, because it's like, would you rather have a lot of negative attention or no attention at all? I would rather have a lot of negative attention. I would rather get the entire world's attention and have everyone hate me than have no one know who I am. Because at least if I have people's attention, I have a chance to put myself out there and get the attention of people who do actually believe in me. And that's worth something. So attention is never a bad thing. Views are never a bad thing. As long as I am not compromising my integrity. That's one thing I won't do, is I won't lie. I won't, I won't clickbait people and then have them be disappointed by the fact that the video is nothing like what they thought it was going to be. The closest thing that I'll do to clickbait is I will intentionally mislead someone, but still technically give them what the title and thumbnail implies. It's just, it maybe not what they thought, but it's still not a lie. It's not dishonest in any way. I think the Colleen video is a good example of that, because people thought that I was going to be defending her actions, but I was really just defending her right to due process, and the fact that she wasn't really given a fair chance to defend or explain herself. And attacking the people who attacked her and only do it for views and money and attention, and because they love hatred. And that is a real issue. It's an issue with politics too, is people have become so negative and so hateful. It's become so normal to just bully people. Speaking of Colleen Ballinger, her brother, there is a viral video of her brother, because he has a family, and he has a family YouTube channel, and he has a bunch of kids, and he has a wife, and they do fun videos and stuff. I don't watch the videos, but I've seen some of them. I know what they are. And there's this video going around on social media of the kid, one of the younger kids, he is like rolling an Oreo into a bunch of cups, and he landed it in the milk, which of course, out of the options, there was like mustard and stuff. Milk and Oreos is the best combination, so he won. And he goes over and he picks up the Oreo, and he does some little like flamboyant move and then says delicioso, which is cringy as shit, I'll grant you that. But he's a kid. He's a fucking kid. Can you remember a time in your childhood when you did cringy shit, or you can look back at footage of yourself and you can be like, oh my God, what was I doing? I don't care who you are. I don't care what culture you grew up in. I don't care how your parents raised you. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Everyone has cringy, embarrassing moments from when they were kids because kids are incomplete. They're in development still. I think the issue is you were mean and hateful to Dave for no reason. No, the issue is that Dave is a creepy catfish for no reason, and he can fuck off. And Dave is also you. So, anyway, Shane Chambers. Where do you come up with these names? Anyway. So, let's see. This kid went viral, and a bunch of grown adults are calling him all sorts of horrible names. If you scroll through an Instagram comment section, you'll see people saying that the dad failed him. You know, the dad is a bad parent, and people doing the dad is disappointed in him. People doing the belt thing, the little GIF of people like saying that you should be beating the kid with a belt. Right, child abuse. That's funny. It's a great idea. Just abuse your children. That'll fix them. I promise you, no matter who you are, you've done embarrassing, stupid shit because children, as I was saying, are incomplete. They're not fully developed yet. They're gonna make mistakes. Look at when you're a little toddler and you go running and then you trip and fall and land on your face and then you immediately start crying. Like, we're stupid when we're babies and we're cringy and you're supposed to just let it be. It's funny, especially when it's your own kid. You're watching your kid grow up. Now, granted, that doesn't mean that you want to watch other people's kids. I really don't understand the whole Family Channel thing and all these parents who just, if I'm being honest, most of them are exploiting their kids. But in this economy, I don't blame them. Whatever makes money, if it works, it works. And it's just going to get worse with Donald Trump. He's gonna send us into a freaking recession. But so even though I think it's a little bit exploitative, I really can't hate on people for finding a successful way to make money. And some is worse than others. Some parents are not exploitative at all. They literally are just sharing their lives. Others are like making their family do shit, and they're like, some people even do weird shit that feels a little bit like there's like weird sexual undertones. I come across some of this stuff on Instagram and I'm like, who are you hoping to, whose attention are you hoping to attract here? And it's like you're just throwing your kids out to the wolves. That's disgusting. But then some are just more innocent and they're literally just filming their daily lives and they're not really exploiting their kids, It's a little more innocent. But I'm sure you know the type of thing I'm talking about. There is some bullshit out there. And by the way, these vulture culture people, they love that shit. They eat it up. They pick on these families and they start tearing them apart and saying horrible things about them. And it's like, no shit. Obviously that's horrible. You don't need to make an hour-long video explaining why that's horrible. You can say that in 2 minutes. You can literally just, point out what's happening and people can draw their own conclusions. There's another Dave account. That's 3 that I blocked in this one video. That's amazing. Maybe I'm gonna start. No, I can't keep count. There's too many. So, let's see. Yeah, it's just, people try to, they you know what it is? It's like double exploitation. exploiting the fact that someone is exploiting something. Um, it's just embarrassing and it's stupid to just make all these videos going, oh my god, and then this mom did this, isn't that disgusting? And it's like, well, yeah, obviously. Maybe try actually reporting on stuff that you don't hear anywhere else. Try reporting on stuff that no one else is talking about, that might actually not be obvious to everyone watching. Um, challenge yourself a little bit. Take a risk. That's what I would be doing. That's what I'm planning on doing, because I have nothing to gain from reporting on obvious crap like that. It's not helpful because of how obvious it is. But there are a lot of things going on in the world that are very serious and very real issues that no one talks about. And I think this vulture culture thing is one of them. But this is another thing that I was talking about. It's connected to the thing that I was talking about with the kid and the Oreo and the kid being cringy. Um, all the comments are talking about like whip the kid with a belt, and the dad should be disappointed in himself. And there is a shitload of homophobia, like a shitload. And these are the same people who are like, oh, nobody cares if you're gay, just keep it to yourself, or I don't care if you're gay, but don't be trans. Like, if you're trans, it's a mental illness. Trans people are messed up in the head. They need therapy, and they shouldn't be, you know, exercising their right to get cosmetic procedures on their own body. Um, I should be in charge of what they do to their body, and I should be in charge of where they go to the bathroom and what sports they're allowed to play in. And they should just feel horrible about themselves, and acknowledge that they're mentally ill and they need help. And they should probably go get diagnosed with something and either end up in a straitjacket or get some pills so that they're not not so disruptive to the way that I see the world. It's it's like, they attack trans people so much, and then even gay people start attacking trans people. That that seeing the LGBT community turn on each other is disgusting to me, because when they come for one of us, they come for all of us. I promise you. And it's not just the LGBT community, it's everyone. If one of us isn't safe, none of us are safe. When will we realize this? We need to start sticking up for each other, sticking up for the underdog. This is something George Carlin talked about. He talked about the underdog, and he talked about how a lot of comedians will go for the easy jokes. They'll go for the easy, like, puns about, I don't know, sexist, racist stuff or whatever. Um, but he thinks that it's better to attack the big corporations, and to really take a risk and go for the dangerous stuff that nobody else talks about, and to instead protect the underdog and not use them as the butt of the joke. Somebody said AO. Can you say something else so I know whether or not you're Dave? I have a stalker who leaves comments from a million different fake accounts. I just want to know whether or not you are that person. Anyway. Hello. How you doing? So, yeah, just basically a lot of this, like, negativity. It's always been an issue, but the root of it is integrity. People don't have integrity. People have mob mentalities. They go along with what everyone else is doing. They do things out of peer pressure. They just think, oh, well, if that's what everyone's doing, then I'm gonna follow that. It's like it's a herd mentality. It's a mob mentality. It's a safety thing. It's a survival instinct. You feel safer in the pack. You don't want to get left behind. But you need to relax. You're never going to develop yourself and develop integrity and consistency in your own sense of morality so that you can actually make your own decisions and think for yourself if you're always just doing what everyone else is doing and what's perceived as cool. And I think it's really cowardly that a lot of people go for the underdog, because it's like watching a 6th grader beat up a kindergartner. It's not a fair fight. You set yourself up for that. You made it so that you would win that fight, and then you'd feel real good about yourself. And the poor little fuck that you beat up, what's he gonna do? Like, you as the older person should be there protecting the smaller person, but instead you're attacking them. That's cowardly. It's ridiculous. and it's embarrassing and shameful. And yet, everyone seems to understand that on a surface level. I mean, the analogy of a sixth grader beating up a kindergartner, everyone can understand that that would be messed up. But doesn't change the fact that I see it happen constantly in our culture. A comment section flooded with negative comments of grown-ass adults bullying a child for being cringy, as if all children aren't cringy, with like hundreds of thousands of likes, a lot of which are aggressively, actively, openly, blatantly homophobic, and advocating for child abuse and beating children with belts. And then, you know, you've got like the step on it emoji, or the GIF, you know, kill it with fire GIF. All these horrible, horrible GIFs that I see all the time in comment sections, and it's always adults. It's always men. And these are the same people who voted for Donald Trump, just saying. Which is why it blows my mind so much when I hear minorities, underdogs, who voted for him. How stupid are you? I mean, Jesus, it's like I said, when they attack one of you, they attack all of you. All of us matter. And you can't just say, oh, well, that person deserves to get attacked. But we've been doing that for a long time. It wasn't that long ago when we had segregation. It really wasn't even that long ago when we had slavery. These things are more recent than we realize, than we talk about. And we have to start thinking, how did we get there in the first place? How did we ever find ourselves thinking that those things were justified? Can we really go back and carefully study and examine the mentality behind these things? Because I think if we did, we would realize that they are suspiciously similar to the mentalities of MAGA people. It comes from the same place. There's a science to it. All you have to do is pay attention to the way they talk, to the way they think, the way they other people. And they always feel justified. They always think it makes sense. They always think that they're not the bad guy. But they are. Because they're actively making themselves someone else's enemy, someone else's attacker, something that someone needs to protect themselves from. I'm from Canada. Okay. Well, I wish that, you know, I wish that I could just like go to another planet. Because even when I think about the idea of being in another country, it ripples out. I was watching a video of a guy who had a British accent, and he was saying a lot of sexist things and, you know, racist things, and I don't know if he was American, but he had a British accent, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you know. I know that I've seen it from people from all over the place. Canada, the UK, Australia, China, Mexico, like any country, any continent, anything you can think of, anything you can name. There are people who are operating under the same mentality that MAGA people operate under. And I was hoping that we could fight against this, but it's gotten to a point where it's spreading. This mentality is spreading like a virus, and it's really testing people. It's really testing their integrity, because people may think that they're on the right side and that they know what they're doing, but then, you know, these arguments come along and they're not prepared, and then they say, wait a minute, maybe they have a point, and then they cross over to the other side, and it's like, no, you had this. Why would you change your mind? Because you got talked into it. And it's spreading. It's becoming a lot more popular. People are doing a lot of talking, and it really doesn't help that, you know, people just normalize a lot of this hatred. because the whole if they come for one of us, they come for all of us thing, people keep forgetting that. People keep saying, well, I'm an ally of, um, gay and trans people, but the non-binary thing, all the they thems out there, that's where I draw the line. You have to realize if they eradicate that, what's next? Then they come for trans people. They eradicate trans people, then they come for gay people. They eradicate gay people. When does it end? Women, people of different ethnicities and racial backgrounds, it never ends. They will come for everyone. You are not safe. And eventually there won't be anything left but just angry, bitter people with nowhere to turn their anger but inward. We're in a period of self-destruction. And because the things that we're attacking, the people that we're attacking, they're never going to be gone. There will always be more gay people. There will always be more trans people. We've always been around. We're in the Bible, for fuck's sake. This is not a new concept. You can't get rid of women. You can't get rid of people of color. I mean, white people are not even the majority in races. If anything, it's the opposite. With all the mixed race stuff, like white people, like, they can't take over. But at people who aren't white get so much hatred. And there are people who literally say, oh, well, I'm not racist, but I wouldn't date a person of color, It's just not my type. Or I wouldn't date a trans person, or, whatever. Like, people say this stuff, and I don't understand what they get from it. What is the point of saying that? What do I give a shit who you want to date? Why don't you take it on a case-by-case basis? Person to person, you decide whether or not you want to date them, instead of, blocking out an entire group of people, which does nothing but make them feel like they have no chance with you, which, I mean, honestly, who's to say that you're even that desirable in the first place? But, like, it just makes them feel undesirable themselves, the way you talk about them. It's not necessary. You don't have to do that. You don't have to make statements like, I would never date a trans person. I would never date a black person or an Asian person or whatever. It's not necessary to say shit like that. It just isn't. But people don't think about stuff like that. Like I said, people have become bullies. People have become very aggressive, very cynical. They love hatred. You throw the meat out there and they just like stumble over each other like people on Black Friday or vultures, and then they just rip that apart. You throw the hate bone, it's game over. And that's what these people do. They make this content, and then if you look at the comments, nobody's saying, is this all you do? You just make content every day about people that we're supposed to dislike? Nobody says that. People just say, yeah, I hate that person, because they need somewhere to aim their hatred. And they don't realize this is a serious psychological issue. A lot of these people talk about therapy, and somehow I think a lot of them are even in therapy, which is so bizarre because clearly it's not doing its job. I hate to say it, but therapy is not always the solution. There are some bad therapists out there, and therapy in the first place depends on you doing a lot of work. And it's sort of like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. I think that therapists need to take a little more initiative and really try to get that person to drink. Don't just lead them to water. Don't even just point them in the direction. Walk them all the way there. Explain to them why they need to drink. Make sure you've really done your part as the therapist before you say it's out of my hands. And make sure you're not crossing ethical boundaries. Make sure you're still following your legal obligations, but don't just sit there and let them talk. Don't just let them guide the session if it's not going anywhere, Don't just let them bitch about people in their lives or bitch about things that are inconvenient to them. Make sure they're actually talking about themselves and figuring out why they are the way that they are. And make sure you're really pointing out things that they might not notice. And make sure you're not just listening and trying to catch things that they might not notice, but that you're also coming up with an analysis of them and coming up with an idea of what their situation is. Use your intuition. Everyone's intuitive. Everyone is tapped into that. And you just have to learn how to listen to it. So if you do that, you can actually really help that person by getting a better understanding of exactly what they need to hear. Just tune in to that higher vibration and say, what exactly does this person need to hear? And just say it. Dave, that's a weird thing to say. Hope Zach doesn't have some sort of accident? Yeah, I blocked you. Okay. And I reported that message. Because that is harassment at that point. That almost is like an implied threat of violence. I hope Zach doesn't have some sort of accident. That sounds like you're threatening to do something to him. Jesus Christ. I mean, how sick in the head do you have to be to spend that much time making like 15 million different fake accounts and leaving comments on somebody's live stream that have absolutely nothing to do with what I'm talking about and are just there to get under my skin and make me uncomfortable? How mentally ill do you have to be to do that? I can't even like wrap my head around that mentality. Seriously deranged. It's sick. There are sick, sick people out there. And it's a pandemic. It's worse than COVID. It's the hatred virus. People have just gotten sucked into these avoidant and escapist tendencies, and it's being encouraged. I have a therapy channel called Philosophical Psychology, and I haven't used it for this much, but I'm going to start using it for addressing some of the ways in which we neglect our mental health, some of the really common issues that people have, regarding like taking care of themselves and therapy and the things that your therapist might not tell you, and stuff like that. Just generally trying to give people tips to improve their lives and to take care of themselves and to break free from unhealthy patterns. And I did that for a while, but I want to start doing it again. I tried a different type of content for a while, and I might do both. I don't know. I occasionally go through bouts of depression where I just don't have. I'm just not in the mood to do this. But yeah, my new content idea for this channel is canceling cancelers, basically, just for a little bit of irony. And I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I'm kind of running out of fucks to give. I have a tendency to overthink. I have a tendency to care too much about what other people think. And I'm just reaching a point where, just as things are coming into perspective, it just doesn't matter anymore. Because there's so much anger that I have about injustice. And the more I see of it, the angrier I become. And it pisses me off. It pisses me off. Yesterday, in a group chat with my gay friends, they were talking about, one of them was talking about a gay club that he went to or was going to go to or something, and then he just said, but there was a shooting there 2 weeks ago, And I read that, and my initial reaction was, yeah, of course there was. But after like 5 seconds, I was like, I started typing a response. And then as I was trying to think of a response to this, I just got so angry. I got furious that that's even something that we just have to be used to. That's just like, first of all, the lack of gun safety laws for anybody, but especially minorities, you know? I'm not sure how many states this is a thing in, or if it's still, I don't know what it is, but I know that there is such a thing, or at the very least was such a thing, which is insane in and of itself, as uh, trans panic or something, where you can claim temporary insanity as a defense for murdering a gay or trans person. And you can say, I didn't know that they were gay or trans. And it shocked me when I found out, and I just lost my mind. I blacked out. You can claim temporary insanity by being shocked by a gay or trans person being gay or trans. What is the purpose of a law like that? It protects people who commit hate crimes, is what it does. That's all it does. The fact that I even have to say that at all, I should be saying that screaming. And I'm just saying it so calmly because it's just such a bleak reality that we've just all accepted. It's just like, yeah, this shit just exists. It just is what it is. We should be angrier about it. We shouldn't just accept it as the bleak reality it is. It should piss us off. It's not fucking okay. It's insane. Um, it's insane that we have to talk about, oh, well, it's probably not safe to go to a gay club because you might get shot. Literally just, there's like a 50% chance at any given time that you could just be out in public. 50 is an exaggeration, but it's not zero. I mean, technically it's never zero anywhere, but it's higher than it should be. Because you could go out in public, you could just be shopping in the store for all you know. There was a shooting at a Tops, which is a grocery store, that was like, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes from where I live. Just a few years ago. You could just be shopping, and all of a sudden you're dead, or you're traumatized because you were almost shot, and you're contemplating your existence because someone just came in with a gun. Kids in school having drills to hide from gun violence, and the teacher praying that it only ever is a drill and they never have to do it for real. How terrifying is this? Not cool. It's infuriating. And the fact that gay people have to worry about it even more in areas that are like known for being gay, not just gun violence, but violence in general, hate crimes in general. It's sickening. It's disgusting. And it's infuriating. But people just have accepted it. So yeah, when my friend said that and I read that, it only took me a couple seconds to realize how much that bothered me. I went from like a 0 to a 100 in like 5 seconds. I started to type, and in that time I was like, no, I don't even know I'm out of words. It's just, I fucking hate people. I hate people. And I'm so, I had to think about it for a while afterwards. I had to think about, why did this piss me off so much more than it would have otherwise? Because I think we're reaching a point, I hope we're reaching a point, where a revolution is coming, where we're starting to realize all these things that we've just been accepting are not okay, were never okay, and there is just simply no room for tolerating them anymore. We need to reach a point where we say, we have nothing to lose. Nothing. If we stand and let this go, if we just stand for this and don't even try to fight it, what are we fighting for? We're afraid that we're gonna be inconvenienced in some way, that we're gonna lose what we already have. Well, we don't have anything anymore. Surviving, just keeping a roof over your head, is almost impossible, and with Donald Trump, it's gonna get even worse. He's gonna make everything way more expensive, and he's gonna send us into debt, spending all that money deporting immigrants. He says he's only going to deport illegal immigrants, but I guarantee you he's not going to stop there. And either way, the hatred against immigrants is still going to be around. So regardless of whether you're here legally or not, which, by the way, none of us are here legally. We all stole this land from somebody else. And Thanksgiving is a day of honoring the fact that we slaughtered a bunch of people. It's sick. It's a sick, sick country filled with sick people and filled with idiots. George Carlin said that he thinks when politicians say, the American people are much more intelligent than they're given credit for. He says, that is being stated precisely backwards. The American people are far less intelligent than they're given credit for. And no one has ever gotten rich from underestimating or overestimating the American intelligence. You know what I'm trying to say, but now the math is not mathing. I can't figure out if it's under or over. If you underestimate Americans' intelligence, why is this so hard for me to figure out? If you underestimate intelligence, then you're thinking that they're not intelligent, which is a safe bet, so you probably would get rich from that. So saying no one has ever gotten rich from underestimating American intelligence doesn't make sense. He probably said no one has ever gotten rich from over. What is this? Joe caused inflation. That is misinformation. Joe did not cause inflation. In fact, the economy is entirely because of what Donald Trump did. People say that in his 4 years of presidency, the economy was doing great. That is just simply idiotic. People forget that his presidency ended with COVID, and he handled that atrociously. I mean, it was horrible. Do you want to know why he lost in 2020? It's not because Biden cheated. It's because people were tired of the way he was handling his presidency. People were starting to realize how horrible of a president he was, and people were done. We made voting easier in 2022 with the mail-in ballot. It's not that we couldn't do that now, but still. In 2024, I personally think that Kamala did get more votes than Trump, and he just cheated. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But even if that is not the case, I think the issue is that he had about the same number of voters in 2016, 2020, and 2024. His voter count remained about the same. But the problem was just that Kamala got a lot less votes than Biden did. What pisses me off the most is Donald Trump himself even said the economy usually does better under a Democrat. He acknowledged that the economy does better when Republicans are not involved. And we have a long-running pattern in this country of Democrats making the economy good, and then Republicans coming in and fucking it up. Then another Democrat coming in, making it good. And the problem is that the Republican coming in can always take credit for what the Democrat left them with, and then blame the Democrat who gets elected after them for what they're leaving them with. This is just what we're used to. The last time we had a big recession, who was president? Was it Obama? Yeah, didn't think so. Use your heads, people. Use your heads. If Trump had won in 2020, we would be in terrible shape right now. It'd be so much worse. He would have made things like an absolute burning dumpster fire. So the fact that Biden won is why things are not a lot worse. And yet Biden is given no credit for this. And we just elected the biggest clown in politics, in political history, ever. I mean, Donald Trump has set the record for the most obnoxiously clown-like political candidate in any country, in any politician ever. Because of all the politicians in all the history of the world, there has never been someone so blatantly obnoxious in every imaginable way who has that many people supporting him. And there are some obnoxious people in history, like, when I think of clowns, I think of like British people without all that makeup and shit. There are some obnoxious political leaders. All of them cannot hold a candle to Donald Trump. I've never seen anything like him. And weirdly, that's what people like about him. They're like, yeah, he's different. He's anti-establishment. He's going to save us from all the corporate people and all the people who are, evil and they have a political agenda. Donald Trump commented in his own words that when he talks about the economy, people are like, yeah. But then he talks about trans people and the crowd erupts into anger. He acknowledged that people care more about a non-issue like trans people than the economy. Imagine the audacity of this fucking billionaire who's friends with a triple-digit billionaire, Elon Musk, to be joking about how much people hate trans people instead of the economy, when he has the ability to snap his fingers and fix all of our economic issues. Elon Musk does anyway. Donald Trump, unfortunately, I don't think he's even as rich as he thinks he is. I think that he probably has run more businesses into the ground than anything else. He's a, what do they call him, like a Nepo baby. He's got daddy's money. It's disgusting. It's just so fucking disgusting. And it's insane that people could actually think that he is going to save us from the dangerous elites with an agenda to brainwash us. We've already been brainwashed. There's no need for an agenda. It's happened already. It's happened. George Carlin was talking about it 50 fucking years ago. It's happened. It's in the past. What we need to be focusing on is unbrainwashing ourselves. And the only way to do that is to realize that the working class should not be turning on each other. It doesn't matter if you're voting red or voting blue. If you are poor, they see you the same way. It's a class issue. It's a money issue. It has nothing to do with political views. That's the bullshit that they give you to play with, to keep you fighting with each other, while they keep going to the bank. It's ridiculous that we have not figured this out at this point. It's insane. It's insane that even the people who think they've figured that out, even the people who are like, yeah, that's true. All those nasty politicians, they just keep us fighting about stupid shit so that they can keep going to the bank. But Donald Trump is going to save us. Like, I'm sorry. How is he not this? How is he not part of it? What about him? Literally, what about that man tells you that he's going to save you? First of all, no one's going to save you. Not me, not your favorite celebrity, not your favorite politician. No one is coming to save you. You have to do this yourself. You have to start working with other people, protesting, making your own content, sharing mentalities with people. Stop othering people. If you think that the enemy is the people who are trying to turn the average citizen, the working class citizen, against each other, start working with those people. You have to band together. That's how you overthrow a government that's corrupt and trying to take advantage of you. You have to band together and tell them what you want. Tell them what you're going to put up with. Let them know we're getting the justice and freedom we deserve. Give me liberty or give me death. Where did that mentality go? Where we band together and we demand justice. Cowards, just idiots. It's like George Carlin said. Maybe it's not the politicians who suck. Maybe it's us. There's a nice campaign slogan. The public sucks, fuck hope. You know, where are all the bright, honest people coming to step in and save the nation and lead the way? He said, we don't have people like that. Everybody's at the mall, scratching his ass, picking his nose, and buying a pair of sneakers with lights in the heels. Because that is what people do. They just focus on gizmos and gadgets. Almost said gizmos and gadgets. They just focus on gizmos and gadgets and shiny things, and they just distract themselves and stroke themselves and just try to pretend that things are not what they are. And what do they get out of it? Absolutely but fuck nothing. They get nothing out of this because, you know, they've just sort of resigned to a miserable fate of, you know, either your life is all about going to work 9 to 5, coming home, going to sleep, or your life is about fighting a war you can't win because you don't have enough people on your side. So you just give up and you get depressed and you go into circles. That is the people that we have at this point. People who are either not even trying, people who are actively trying to fight the people who are trying, and the people who are trying but keep getting beaten down by how hopeless it looks. We need to band together. We are our own worst enemy. These big people, all they have is narratives to shove down your throat. They don't have any real power. You know, even if they had nuclear bombs they could kill you with, then what are they going to do? Kill all of their workers who are going to make their money? Then what are they going to sit on an empire of? Nothing. Picture a pyramid where all the people at the bottom of the pyramid are holding it up, and the people at the bottom of the pyramid say, hey, you're not treating us fairly, to the people up at the top. And the people up at the top say, I'm going to kill you if you complain. So then they keep doing the work. But what if they did kill them? The pyramid comes crashing down because there's no one to hold it up anymore. So that's the thing. We have the power. They need us. And if they kill us all, they'll have nothing left. There will be no world for them to live in. You know, if they use nukes to do it, there will just be a nuclear winter, and it'll just be a post-apocalyptic nightmare, and it's going to be depressing as shit, and they're all going to want to kill themselves. And they're probably not going to have anyone they're not going to probably have anyone to take care of them, because then the rich people are going to be the only ones left, and then they're all going to be equal, and they're all going to be fighting each other until they're all dead, and they're going to have to take care of themselves and not have henchmen doing their bidding and shit. So they're just, you know, they're just all going to die, and everybody's just going to die. And they're not stupid enough to choose that. Well, one can hope they're not stupid enough to choose that. The truth is we have all the power, and they depend entirely on keeping us afraid to fight back. But if we fight back, we'll win. There just aren't enough of us trying. There's too many people who are still voting for these idiots, who are still upholding this system, and they are fueled by hatred. It's so weird. They say the left and the right are fighting with each other, but the reality of it is, the right is actively and aggressively fighting the left, and the left is too busy defending itself from the right to spend time attacking the upper 1%. So that's what it is. The left is the one that wants to fight the good fight, but it's too busy defending itself from the right. And the right just doesn't, you know, I don't even know why the right is attacking the left. The right has just bought into all this propaganda that the left is evil. But, you know, the left doesn't think the right is evil. The left just thinks the right is incredibly stupid. And that's just all that there is to it. They are stupid. If you voted for Donald Trump, you're an idiot. I don't know what to tell you. There's no way to sugarcoat it. I'm sorry if you don't like that harsh truth, but it's the truth. You made your decision. If that bothers you to hear that, you shouldn't have voted for Trump, and you're going to regret it in the next 4 years. And I'm not sorry for saying that. You are an idiot, but maybe you'll educate yourself and then you won't be an idiot. But it was an idiotic thing to do, objectively. It just was. There's absolutely no logical or intelligent reason to vote for that man. And I've heard it all. So don't come at me with, you don't know what you're talking about. Yes, I do. I've heard it all. I've heard from all of you. I know your reasons for it. I listen to the shit you say. It's all bullshit. All of it. You guys are completely brainwashed. And it's really disappointing. But we're all going to have to pay for what you did. And that's why I'm a little pissed off as I say it, because we are going to be the collateral damage of your karma. But nevertheless, I will be very satisfied to witness your karma. There are moments when I wish that that shooter had better aim. I wish Donald Trump was dead. And there are moments when I just think maybe this is for the best. Maybe his supporters need to see how bad this is going to get. Maybe that will ultimately work out for the best. Because killing Donald Trump isn't going to save us. You know, he's one of many, but there are more Trumps in the world, and there are more people who are going to continue the work that he would have done. It doesn't change the fact that his death wouldn't have been satisfying, or that his death would have been satisfying, but I still think that maybe we do need to just see what he's actually going to do. You know? Maybe that's the only thing that'll actually wake these people up. They say they voted for him because they wanted a better economy. Well, just you wait. 4 years from now, our economy is going to be worse than it's ever been. We're still going to have a lot of immigrants because you can't actually deport all of them. We're still going to have trans people, and they're going to be angrier and louder than ever. We're still going to have gay people. Women are still going to have rights. They're going to be fighting like hell. Women are still going to be having abortions, regardless of whether or not you try to outlaw it. And women are going to stop dating, by the way. So be prepared for the 4B movement to go in full force. If you really try to fully outlaw abortion and make it hard for women to get divorced, say goodbye to marriage, say goodbye to pregnancy. Women aren't going to let you impregnate them. Women aren't going to let you date them or marry them. And you're going to have to accept that. One way or another, we're winning this fight. And not everyone will be on board, but shame on those who aren't. We don't have time for that anymore. We don't have time to sit around and wait for people to get on board. It's so obvious at this point what is justice, what is truth, and what is just plain old-fashioned idiocy. And if you've chosen the latter, you're on your own. We're not helping you. We're not reaching out and saving you. You can join us if you want, but we're not going to be coming and knocking on your door and begging for your approval. We don't need you, but you're welcome to join anytime. So, yeah. We're going to fight. We just have to. And I wish more people would join. It would be easier if we had more people on board, but we're not going to sit around and wait. There's no time anymore. So if you feel so self-important that you're like, well, I don't know if I want to join that fight, then fine, don't. What the fuck? Then we're not going to be friends with you, you know? You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. You don't get to be friends with us and not actually help us. It's just fucking ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully, I know this was a little bit all over the place, but hopefully my idea works out. Like I said, I'm going to start with titles, something like Defending Colleen, you know, in that ballpark. Then if that doesn't work, we're going to go with thumbnails, and if that doesn't work, we're going to go with all three: titles, thumbnails, and well-made edited videos. I'm really hoping I don't have to do the third option, because if I do, it's going to be exhausting, and I'm going to really need for it to actually work, because I have trouble finding the motivation to make content like that. But if it works, if that gets thousands and thousands of views, there's my motivation to keep doing it, because eventually I can monetize that shit, and then I can do it as a job, and there's my motivation. But if it doesn't work, then, you know, I guess at least I tried. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? I try and fail, so what? Like, you know, it's not like I'm losing anything, really. It's not like I'm risking anything. I don't give a shit. I can't afford to give a shit anymore. It's just too much time has passed without anything getting done. It's time to just start doing shit, see what happens. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry about all the times that I interacted with Dave. I didn't know that it was Dave at first. And then once I was just annoyed, because he is annoying. He's also a Trump supporter, which is, you know, one of the things that I know about him. He's an idiot. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you probably, hopefully, the next time I see you will be when I make a video like this. Maybe I will just say that. Maybe I'll just pick someone who's being canceled and put defending in front of that person's name and just see what happens. Maybe it'll be just like defending Colleen. Maybe it'll go viral overnight. Or maybe it won't. Maybe no one will give a shit. Maybe I can't, play maybe I can't get lucky in the same way more than once. But maybe I can. And it's worth a shot. My friend told me that I should take that Colleen video down. He said that it's going to ruin my credibility and people are going to be like, he's defending a pedophile. But honestly, I told him I don't care because, I mean, basically in so many words, I said haters going to hate. But the truth is, even if I took it down, it's just going to make it look like I'm embarrassed of it or like I'm, ashamed in some way. And then people are going to still find it and someone's going to have a screenshot of when it was public and someone's going to be like, he did this. And, I don't know. It's just, it's never going to be over. So I'm not ashamed of anything that I have done and said in my past. Even my mistakes, I'm not ashamed of them. I acknowledge it. I can acknowledge that it was a mistake and apologize for it without feeling like it makes me a bad person or like I need to hide it or pretend it didn't happen. My mistakes are part of my journey to becoming who I am today, and I'm proud of who I am today. So that's all that matters. But for the record, I don't even think that video was a mistake. I stand by what I said in it. To be honest, I don't fully remember everything I said in it, but I know it made sense when I said it, and I know that it was coming from the same place that I still think from, which is that, you can't exploit someone, you can't exploit the death of someone's reputation just for your own amusement. And everyone has the right to due process, or should anyway. Unfortunately, not everyone really does. There are a lot of people who will just be deported without any kind of fair trial. There are a lot of people who will just be shot and beaten to death and murdered and bullied and pushed into suicide, or at least suicidal thoughts and shit, and they don't have the right to due process, but they deserve it anyway. Everyone does, and I will stand by that. So have a good rest of your day or night, and leave a comment, let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.